with the Vi still open. I think Vi can be a very strong pick here for really I would say more for Fine Dog. It's a strong pick because if Vapo pick it, then you have like the Xayah to counter it in a way. You have the Poppy as well, which can also counter the Vi engage with the Vault Breaker. So isn't really the strongest pick, but now becomes a really big consideration whether this Olaf is going to play in the solo lane or they might leave that flexibility open. They could pick another solo lane here and wait for that final pick on red side to see whether they want to play Olaf in the jungle or Olaf in the Baron lane. With Camille still open, really good pickup, really nice play here from Vapo in this draft.
Yeah, don't play with my heart here. This hover of Rammus, don't play with my heart. Come on, guys, don't do this to me. But the Camille going into one of these side lanes is going to be pretty huge for them. Obviously, Hextech ultimatum, however, won't be getting synergized with the Galio. I mean, just don't tease me.
Oh, no, okay.
Don't tease me. That's exactly what they're doing here. They want my little heart going giddy. They want me to blush. They want me to fangirl over the Rammus, but I'm not just going to get it. We are going to get the Diana, though. I mean, Diana yesterday was definitely a frightful pick. It definitely gave a lot of damage, but now they get, obviously, 2 outputs of the AP coming through here from not only the Mordekaiser, but as well as the Diana. Where they're really going to be looking for this one is potentially another side laner, obviously. I don't know if the Darius is going to be as good here as well. Potentially a little bit more range coming here from the Jace. We did see quite a bit of Jace gameplay yesterday as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of worried here actually now for Fine Dog. They actually decided to put Poppy in support, which in my opinion is her weakest role right now. She's a lot better in the solo lanes or even in the jungle right now. I think Poppy support just doesn't have the same impact. You don't have the same amount of gold. You can't make the same amount of impact in team fights as well. Vladimir, this is a pick that I wanted to see yesterday. I kept on calling it over and over again yesterday, and we never saw it. Now we finally get a game of Vladimir, which I think is a great pickup and can be very difficult to shut down. But now with Poppy being support, your only real frontline that you have in this team is this Poppy. Jace is not going to be a frontliner. He's going to be on the backline using his shock blast. Diana is going to be more of an assassin. Even Mordekaiser as well doesn't really build tanks. So the frontline here for Fine Dog is definitely very lacking. Whereas on the other side, you have the Nunu, the Olaf, and the Camille running down your Xayah. And as soon as they take down this Xayah, the rest of the team fight can just be absolutely done.
Yeah, and especially with Vladimir as well. Obviously, you can use the Sanguine Pull, trying to get into the team fight, into the back line there, and obviously use it to get out if he does get dived on top of, especially with the likes of the Diana or even under Mordekaiser's ultimate as well, because that's what we're going to be really looking for here as well. For me personally, is where's Mordekaiser really going to be trying to trap out that single target. I don't feel like Olaf would be kind of like the 1v1 you really want to go for. So really, potentially here, trying to maybe either try and separate the likes of the Camille or the Nunu from a team fight, or just try and lock down the Zeri overall.
No, yeah, I mean, locking down the Zeri is going to be very important, but I think, as you mentioned, you've got so much to break through. I mean, there could be a good pick with the Mordekaiser in the end. You know, the Mordekaiser can come on through, use the ultimate onto the Zeri, which can be a really big thing in team fights, and of course, stop that front line from blocking all of the, blocking all of the damage coming on through here. But other than the Mordekaiser, they don't have too much. You know, it might be down to Diana sitting in the bush. I believe this is also Fine Dog. Fine Dog also played, Queenie. Level 1 here. Xayah has to use the Ghost early on to escape that pretty scary start. But was it Fine Dog yesterday that played the Diana? I'm pretty sure it was. I'm pretty sure it's Nakamura who played Diana yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so performed very well and won on it, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
Yeah, I believe it was their win that they did get against Ultimate Baguette, so it's definitely one of their kind of like key picks into these Fearless drafts. Definitely one of those comfort picks that we know how to navigate, but in terms of obviously CC and trying to negate it onto the side of Vapo, I feel like it's mainly trying to come from either the Queenie trying to, okay, fake Vapo, not being as agile here on the Jace, is still able to keep alive though, even this 2v1 in top side of the map for now.
A nice early rotation to start things off here for the Nunu. This is kind of the advantage of the Nunu as well, as the stun comes through onto the wall, onto the Zeri. Might be dead here. Had to use the cleanse to take the ignite away. Nunu snowballing in the mid lane, but it's not really going to come up with any other advantages. As I was mentioning before that exchange came on through, this is one big advantage that Nunu has in the mid lane, and why Nunu's support is such a popular pick right now. Because this dual lane always sits in the mid lane, Nunu can use his snowball to get into the other lanes much quicker. You take runes like Pathfinder for the extra movement speed, which I'm assuming is what he has at the moment, and you can see Nunu is just going to keep ganking side lanes over and over again with this snowball and try and get advantages for either the Vladimir or the Camille.
Yeah, going in for potential engage here to 3v1. Nakaruru is in the wing, just waiting for a overcommitment for the side of Vapo, but going straight in is gonna be the Poppy here to try and bait out the side of Vapo. Okay, when Nakaruru's into the backline, takes down Susanoo as well, but he may get caught out here. Queenie and Lilo is into there as well.
Oh!
Ew, the takedown.
Queenie being able to flash over the wall, surviving. Dinah nearly doing enough damage. The big thing there that no one had ultimates. There's another crazy exchange towards the Scuttle Crab, and we've seen this a lot in this series. You know, junglers, especially Queenie as well. Junglers normally start on the blue side just because of how easy it is to be able to clear through the jungle much quicker. The pathing is much more smoother, and also champions again like Olaf and even Amumu in game number 1, as it looks like another pick is going to be made. The Nunu making a big difference again in the solo lanes, and now it's going to be Nakaruru getting the extra kill, maybe jumping in for another one as well. Poppy's going to try and tank some of the damage. Oh my god, nearly dies to the tower. But yeah, as I mentioned, this is all down to Queenie. You know, Queenie's pathing with red side star, always matching the side of Nakamuru every time. You always get these trades that happen towards Scuttle Crab, and so far it has gone into Vapo's favor, but we saw the same in game number 1. Even with this early advantage that Vapo can get, they're still not able to run away with it and try and get even more of an advantage.
Yeah, Fine Dog definitely trying to play them at their own game, right? Just making sure that they're just not losing too much. I mean, they may lose some kind of lead, but at the end of the day, they're able to kind of neutralize these kills as they've done right now. The overall gold lead is going into their favor as well. They've got to just keep maintaining that so that Vapo don't get the momentum that they so desire. But again, we're just seeing the utility of Lilo onto this Vladimir here, using the Sanguine Pool just to get out of the grasp of the Mordekaiser, which is definitely going to pay off, especially within these 1v1s in the early part of the game. But right now, as you were saying, like, Susanoo is putting on a lot of pressure across this gorge, just trying to set up these two side lanes, because they know that Zeri can kind of hold her own against the Xayah as well into the mid lane because of the poke, the range. She's not going to get caught out from this Xayah.
No, both mid laners and both the marksmen are just going to be clearing out the waves as quick as possible. And again, as you mentioned, you know, Nunu making a big difference. Looks like Nunu again is going up into the top side. You can see the Hextech ultimatum as well. They're trying to do enough damage, but it doesn't look like they are going to do enough damage in the end. The barrier as well, and oh no, here comes the Poppy, the chain CC to come on through, and that's the kill onto the Nunu. Bit of an overextend there. They thought they had enough damage, but again, barrier making a huge difference in this 2 versus 2 in the top side, meant that the Jace was able to survive the Nunu tower dive, and it turned right on the head.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate there for the side of Vapo. Losing Susanoo in that early part of the team fight meant that they just aren't going to have that re-engage or even the kind of like crucial impact that we see from these snowballs that Susanoo's been doing in this part of the game so far. Trying to get it to land onto Faker Rappo, completely missing through and whiffing it, goes through the goal. But it's not football, this is Wild Rift, and it doesn't score them any points. It just means that they are not going to get that crucial setup that they need. But right now, we are seeing that Fine Dog are situated to the top side of the map here as well, looking to try and just get this Enchanted Ensemble for themselves, because there's been a big priority for this neutral objective.
Yeah, Nakamura here going to be able to take the Rift Herald, try and use this again towards the mid lane as we always see. Going to even look for an invade here as well to try and put it on through. Actually use the Rift Herald over the wall. Maybe not realizing that he can't summon a Rift Herald over the wall, but it's just going to charge into the mid lane. It's unfortunately not going to do much else. It's just going to take a few tower platings. Meanwhile, Xayah in a little bit of trouble here. Is going to be taken down here potentially by the Olaf. Oh, it was extremely close in the end. I thought the Olaf was going to be taken down. Might still be here with the Mordekaiser chasing down the Olaf in the bottom side. Cameraman, there's something happening in the bot lane. I think the Mordekaiser is going to win that duel in a 1 versus 1. I don't know. Yes, Mordekaiser wins that duel in the 1 versus 1 in the bottom side of the map. And meanwhile, the Nunu gets caught out, but the Jace turns back around, and that means that Jace is going to get taken down. Instead, Nunu was working a little bit of bait, and this is such a back and forth game. This game right now could go either way. It seems like there are just picks happening across the map land, and players are just getting caught out all over the place. Yeah,
it's crazy that what's going on right now. I mean, definitely you want to be fine, Doug, in the means that obviously they got the Enchanted Land sample, but you also want to be like Vapo for the team fights that they're actually trying to get these pickups in. I think maybe into the late game in terms of scaling that Vapo may actually try and get this one up for themselves, but they need to make sure they're getting some of these T1s into these side lanes as well. And obviously the pressure that we saw that Vapo can maintain for quite some time, they need to make sure they're paying it back to Fine Dog, just so they have a little bit more of an easier kind of mid to late game so far, because right now they are behind with the resources, but tied neck to neck with these kills, so they definitely can go blow for blow if they need to.
Yeah, 3,000 gold lead at the moment just proves how far ahead they are at the moment with Fine Dog, and the big reason why is in that jungle. Nakamura used this pick yesterday to win against one of the teams that are going to be in that grand final later on tonight, and he's looking to try and make this pick worthy in this game as well. You can see the gold lead, over 1,000 gold lead right now in the jungle, the same in the Baron lane as well, with the Mordekaiser also over nearly 2,000 gold ahead of the Camille. But other than that, the mid and the Jura lane are both pretty even in gold, but the big difference right now is how far ahead the Mordekaiser and the Diana are.
Yeah, exactly. They're definitely trying to do things with the Diana and the Mordekaiser for now, especially with them being their AP damage, definitely being the difference into these team fights as well as there can be, because obviously diving on top of the backline can be pretty huge for them. They haven't yet been able to shut down the Lilo as of yet. He's currently on 0 deaths at the moment. So I feel like that's maybe their biggest task, is like, how did they lock down the Vladimir?
Yeah, Vladimir is going to be very scary when it gets into the late game. You know, once the Vladimir gets, 2-3 items, it's definitely one of the scariest late game champions in the game. It's all about trying to do enough burst damage. Either be the Mordekaiser trying to win in the 1 versus 1, or maybe even the Diana trying to burst the Vladimir down. But as you mentioned before, that Sanguine pull is a great negator to all of the burst damage that might be coming on through here for Fine Dog. So yeah, at the moment in terms of scaling, I would say it goes a little bit in favor of Vapo, but I think there is good scaling on both sides. Both the Xayah and the Zeri scale pretty well in the Jura lane. Mid lane is definitely heavily favored towards that Vladimir. Jace doesn't really do too much later on. Jungle is pretty even, and same with top lane as well. So I feel like it's pretty even overall, and Vladimir is kind of the outsider here for Vapo that can make a big difference. And as you mentioned, with 0 deaths right now on this Vladimir and him being able to scale up and farm up as much as possible, that's going to be the advantage that they want to try and go for. As the flash comes on through here onto the Jace, they're going to try and give this kill over to the Vladimir, and he does get it as well. Another big kill for the Vladimir. Now he has 7,000 gold, not as much as the Diana on the other side, but it's the most gold on his team.
Exactly. I was about to point that out, right? Like, he is the most gold on the team, so maybe this is kind of the situation that Vapo are creating for themselves, right? Just kind of trying to funnel in as much resources as possible, as much of those kills as possible as well. I mean, he's been able to obviously do quite well in the performance with just the Infinity Orb. We see him obviously build the second tier item that could potentially go into the likes, obviously, the Leandres as well as other items, but big engage into the mid lane here as well. Susanoo is trying to set it up. We do have the Nunu ult being committed very early, not doing as much damage as the side of Vapo were really hoping for, but this is where the difference of the overall global lead of the gold could come through here for the side of Fine Dog.
And Nunu ultimate kind of been used there as a zoning effect, but you can see the Poppy can just use her third ability and knock the Nunu out of his ultimate, so the channel actually doesn't come on through as much as what maybe he wanted to. But still using it as a zoning tool, making sure that the Diana can't dive in anymore. I think the Nunu timing on that ultimate and on his crowd control is going to be very important to try and shut down this Diana later on.
Yeah, I mean, right now, they've shut it down once, so it is a doable thing for the side of Vapo, but can they do it some more? We are going to see, let's look at that damage, just wild. I mean, coming in from the Xayah as well, only having the Bloodthirster for now, so not quite peak damage for the Xayah just yet, but definitely having the execution call in there is going to be the anti-heal that they need, especially for the likes of the Vladimir as well. So definitely the itemization they want to go for on the side of Flying Dog, and they're just keeping their cool. They're keeping collective. They don't have a turret drop down just yet. Looking like a much harder game for Vapo so far, but I feel like just like game number 2, once Vapo gets these team fights under their wraps, I feel like it could be a comeback here for Vapo.
Looks like Camille rotated into the bot side. We just missed it, but I think they did the same rotation into the bot lane and was able to take down the Jace again. And it's another kill over to the Vladimir. But I think the big deal right now is, as you mentioned, that Diana, you know, being very, very scary now with the amount of burst damage that she's dealing. Though the Death Cap and the Infinity Orb are both already completed for this Diana. And it's going to mean that you need to be very careful of these bushes now, because Diana could be sitting in any one of them trying to jump on in, trying to do enough damage. Poppy trying to knock the Olaf away, but it's actually not even going to be enough. The Olaf uses the ultimate to stop the knockback from the Poppy, and now the Mordekaiser is completely isolated into 5 enemies, and that's 2 kills now over to Vapo. They're going to try and join this team fight and try and clean it all up. The new ultimate is going to work well as a zoning tool. The Zarya is trying to do enough work onto the backline, kills 1, but that's all that she can kill for now, as the Vladimir flashes and protobots forward, and that's another kill. That's an ace for Vapo. 504 on this Vladimir, and this is exactly why I've been calling out teams to pick this champion, because I feel like he is super underrated right now and very, very powerful.
Very powerful, and the fact that it's the fearless draft as well, right? Like, if you only get 1 shot to use him, you're going to take it. You really want that win to come from the Vladimir for yourself, rather than actually take the face in and the beat in that we're just seeing here within these team fights. Because I was saying moments ago, Vapo, as soon as they get these team fights going into their favor, this is the turnaround they need. They've now neutralized that gold lead only to a matter of a K gold lead for the side of Fine Dog. So that's just a matter of a few pickoffs here, maybe a few turrets taken down as well, which is what they really want to do. Susanoo just kind of using that as a bit of a zone in to zone out the Nakamura to try and dive in onto the back line here. T1 into the mid lane, looking very low for now.
Multiple lanes being pushed in at the moment. You're seeing how Camille is hovering again. This Camille is basically playing support this game. Camille has done an incredible job this game at hovering her side laners. You know, before with the Vladimir, getting multiple kills onto the Vladimir, using that Hextech ultimatum to lock him down. And look now, you're just focusing with Queen, hovering with Queen, and as soon as Queenie jumps in, Camille can just use a Hextech ultimatum and lock someone down. It just basically becomes support Camille, which means that she doesn't really need that much gold. She's just there to lock someone down with Hextech ultimatum, and then the rest of her team can follow up afterwards. Seems like there's a bit of a trade in this bot side, but no kills or nothing coming through just yet. There's a bit of poke damage from this Diana. She's still doing a crazy amount of damage, but nothing to really get a kill off just yet. But for now, they have defended their base. No inhibitor towers just yet for Vapo with this Baron Nashor.
I mean, they defended the base, but this is what Vapo really needed to do, right? Was just make sure to get that pressure into any of these lanes, because before that point, they didn't have any of the T1s taken down. Didn't really have the pressure going free for themselves into the side lanes or even in the mid lane. But that mid lane's been completely decimated right now. So when the Baron Nashor comes up, that's probably going to be their main goal. Again, is just to kind of just try and run down that mid lane, try and take the inhibitor, try and force the win there. But definitely trading and dodging a lot of blows there was very frightful for the side of Fine Dog, but it looks like Vapo aren't going to stop there. Maybe just try and push this wave through a little bit more, get a bit of poke damage come through. Maybe try and stop some of these recalls.
Yeah, very smart again from Vapo, and very smart from this Camille. You would definitely trade the flashes there. You know, Camille flash for the Diana flash. In the end, it means that Diana's going to have a bit more of a difficult time to get onto this backline. But I think in general, Camille is having a great performance right now. Again, every single time she finds an isolated target on the side lane or even there through mid, she flashes in. She tries to use the ultimate, but now might be in a bit of a disadvantage here in the bottom lane. Needs to be a little bit careful because the rest of Fine Dog are here. Olaf is taken so low on health. He actually finishes off the kill onto the Poppy, and now the Zeri is here to join the fight as well. The chain damage onto the backline. The Zarya flashes over the wall with the feathers. The feathers are trying to do so much damage, and it actually does do a lot of damage in the end. But now the Vladimir joins the fray. It's going to do the burst damage. That's 1 kill for Vladimir. Can he get more? Looks like he's just going to back off for now. But really well played there by the Zarya, using her feathers really well to flash over the wall, use the feathers to stun multiple enemies, get a huge amount of burst damage. But that really came through there from, you know, the Camille and the Olaf getting caught. But look what's just been bought on Vapo. Look at their boots and chance. 3 TPs have just been bought.
Yeah, they're looking for a way in, right? They're just like, hey, we'll drop down a ward somewhere. We'll just go in on that one and just create kind of just some kind of space and a push.
They're going to all TP, aren't they?
There we go.
Oh
straight
my
in here.
God.
Coming through now. It's going to be Susanoo coming in as well. Potentially some more come through. No, they're going to run down, so it's just only going to be Susanoo using the TP at this point, but they've traded all off. They've got the status. They've gone for the Proto as well as the shield in also, so they've changed it up pretty quickly. They want the status, they just wanted the 1 TP come through, so a little bit of a temporary trade there.
Yeah, just trying to use the TP, just making sure that Fine Dog cannot focus on the Baron Nashor and try and take it down. As you know, we just saw they did win a team fight in the bot lane, but not enough members left alive, unfortunately, to try and take this Baron. But Blam, this is a very even game that honestly can go either way. The gold lead is basically nothing at this point. 3,000 gold is not a lot of a gold lead. It's really going to come down to, you know, can the Vladimir get into the backline and do a bunch of burst damage? Can Fine Dog burst down this Vladimir before he runs away with the team fight? And it's going to do with the lockdown from the Nunu and from the Camille to see if they can try and shut down this Zyra as well. So it's all down to really this next team fight, which going to come down really to this Baron Nashor. You can see Queenie at the moment using the sweeper to go through onto the Baron pit to try and clear through the wards. And now look, they're trying to use the wards. They're trying to use their vision to their advantage. And this could be the fight. Yeah,
this could be the fight. Obviously, Hextech Ultimate already being committed, but this is looking like there's a lot of damage coming through for the side of Fine Dog for now. But into the back line, it's going to be no thanks than other than Lilo's cleaning up. The cleanup crews come through. The triple kill for Lilo, but then the double kill for Tung Sahor. They have the minion wave into the middle of the map. They can finish off with this because they've got at least 30 seconds on the cards for Fine Dogs to come back, and that's enough time for both Lilo and Tung Sahor to get this inhibitor and even the crystal, the Nexus.
Yeah, they're going to end the game here. They still got another 20 seconds to come on through using a Sanguine Pool. Make sure they can tank enough damage for the Nexus to be taken down. The Vladimir and the Zeri, the 2 carries there. But I have to say, Lilo's flank there on the Vladimir was absolute perfection. The flank onto the backline dealt a huge amount of AoE damage with his ultimate and his third ability and completely won the fight there for Vapo. It was such an incredible performance there to really shut him down and get that advantage that he needed for his team. And then Zeri was completely untouched as well. And, you know, I was talking about just before that fight, how do they shut down this Vladimir? When Vladimir's coming behind you, 906, look at that on the Vladimir. So difficult to try and shut down.
Exactly. I mean, with a KDA like that, they don't lock down the Vladimir, and that's exactly what they were missing the entire game, right? I mean, Lilo, for the majority of the early game, was definitely kind of keeping himself, just making sure he's getting those stacks up, getting that gold up as well. I mean, we pointed out in one part of the match where he was the overall most gold for his team, and then that just kept surmising, and then at the end there, he was still finishing the game off with 15,000, the most gold on his team, getting the MVP, but more importantly, just getting those kills when he needed to. But like you were saying, the big kind of highlight for that one was that backdoor gang from Lilo and Tung Sahor just coming in from the back line, doing that huge amount of damage, where we saw already for Fine Dog that in that early team fight, it looked like it was going to go for them, right? I mean, as soon as Nakamura played and used that ultimate to deal a lot of that damage, we thought it was going to be